NBA Hangtime is the true sequel to NBA Jam.
Serious Hangtime. He's heating up.
This game looks like NBA Jam except smoother.
He's got the hot hand.
It plays like NBA Jam except it plays a little bit better.
Serious Hangtime. Rejected. And Robertson. He's heating up.
It really does feel like the ultimate version of NBA Jam.
Oh, get that out of here.
And it's remembered by fans as the best game in the series. You know, the only thing that this game doesn't have is that name. NBA Hangtime was not called NBA Jam because the company Acclaim was able to get that NBA Jam name. And the story behind that is kind of odd. Okay, NBA Hangtime was released in April 1996. And like I said, it's basically a polished version of NBA Jam. Now, Hangtime was made by Midway. This is the same company that had created the original NBA Jam. If you play any of the home console versions of NBA Jam, you'll notice that they were all made by Acclaim. The story here is that Acclaim had a partnership agreement with Midway that gave Acclaim the rights to create the home versions of Midway arcade games. Now, you guys probably have already heard of this company called LJN, especially if you watch a lot of angry video game nerd episodes like I have. Well, Acclaim is a very similar company to LJN. In fact, Acclaim acquired LJN sometime around 1989 or 1990. In other words, you probably didn't want Acclaim to handle the home ports of your arcade games. Acclaim was well known for securing big-name IP to create video games, stuff like WWF WrestleMania on the NES. The company also made games like Rambo, which is an absolutely horrible NES game. The NES version of Midway's Arch Rivals arcade basketball game was also created by Acclaim. Chances are that you probably haven't played Arch Rivals before.
I'm open! Put it up!
It was an earlier attempt at making an NBA Jam style game. It's similar to NBA Jam, but it really has a lot of flaws. Now, the funny thing is that most of us who grew up in the 1990s associated the name Acclaim with good games. But when you look back, you realize that almost all the games that Acclaim put out were bad. In fact, some of these games were just horrible. NBA All-Star Challenge, for example, was an Acclaim game. I used to own the second game on the Game Boy. This was a horrible game. This is an experience I never want to relive. There was also George Foreman's KO Boxing, which was awful. This was kind of like Punch-Out, except without anything fun. And the game was extremely difficult. Now, the reason why we tend to consider Acclaim to be a good game creator is because it made the home console ports of Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2. But somewhere around 1994 or 1995, Midway decided to start handling its own ports in-house, and so there was a split between Midway and Acclaim. Now, back in those days, nobody criticized the home ports of games like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. Honestly, though, if you go back and play them, you'll discover that the Acclaim ports of these games were really hit or miss. As I've noted before, I really like the Genesis versions of NBA Jam. The Super Nintendo ones are okay, though the graphics and sound are both notably worse. But Acclaim really screwed up the camera and the gameplay of NBA Jam on systems like the 32X. In fact, the PlayStation version of NBA Jam Tournament Edition is borderline unplayable.
Excuse me! Ryder!
The Sega Saturn versions are also really bad.
We're doomed! Stockton! again.
And so I can see the reason why Midway probably didn't want Acclaim to keep making those ports of its arcade hits. I don't know for sure that this was a quality control issue. However, in hindsight, it's obvious that there were quality issues with all of those Acclaim games. Honestly, I really have a hard time seeing how Acclaim was any different or any better than LJN. Anyway, sometime in 1995, Acclaim started coming out with its College Slam games. This was a really blatant cash grab. It was NBA Jam, but with generic college teams. Notice that the name Midway doesn't appear anywhere in these games, even though it's clearly just another version of the original Midway arcade series. And I'm convinced that this series is where the split between the two companies became official.
Party time!
And then there's that story of that name. The NBA Jam name went with Acclaim for some really strange reason. In fact, I don't think I'll ever understand it. Acclaim made an arcade game in October 1996 called NBA Jam Extreme. Somehow, Acclaim was able to convince the NBA to give it the rights to the NBA Jam name, a decision I honestly don't understand. Anyway, you would think that the game would be better than NBA Hangtime since the developers had 6 extra months to make it. It's not. It's really not.
From the arc, counted.
NBA Jam Extreme is not awful, but it's really not an NBA Jam game. It's easy to feel lost. And the graphics in this game are really painful to look at. You know, even at that time, people really didn't make a huge deal about the rivalry between the two series. I can't find many articles about it at all. NBA Jam Extreme was just a bad game. You can tell that really without even playing it, just look at footage of it. And most people were too busy playing NBA Hangtime to notice. Now, NBA Hangtime is more than just an extension of NBA Jam.
Goes up. They're smoking.
There are all sorts of interesting new features.
Forced the shot up. Banked it.
You can create your own player, for example. Now, you don't quite have as many options as in a game like NBA Street Volume 2. But then again, this is an arcade game, so it makes sense that it's a bit more limited.
Lighting it up.
The other problem is that you have to buy a credit just to make a character.
NBA Hangtime.
But it really is worth it.
Perfect. Blaze it up.
As you play, you get extra points that allow you to improve your character. You do have to buy a credit to use those extra points. You see, the game is really good at getting as many quarters from you as it can. But this adds an RPG element to an arcade game, which really was a rarity.
Spectacular dunk.
And then, of course, there's the stuff that's obvious, the stuff that you think of right away when you think of NBA Hangtime. The alley-oop system in this game really is a lot of fun.
Up to Ewing. Patrick Ewing.
It's especially nice when your teammate jumps up right when you're in trouble.
Above the rim. He's on fire.
My only complaint about the system is that sometimes you can't get your teammate to jump when you want him to.
Rodman. Shoot the ball. Swish.
But overall, it's a great system that really adds something extra to the game.
Joe Pippen takes it off the glass.
And of course, it still does have that NBA Jam charm. There are a lot of players out of the box, more than an NBA Jam Tournament Edition. And of course, there are a number of secret players to choose from as usual. You can play on an outdoor court if you want, which is pretty cool.
Raises up. Oh, man.
And you can play with the big heads and all the normal stuff like that.
Perfect. Oh, Lama Lama Ding Dong.
The graphics have been improved.
High above the rim. McLeod.
The sound was also improved, though this announcer is not quite as good as the original.
High above the rim. There's no stopping him.
But all in all, it really is a fun game.
Alpha. Will he ever miss? Full. Leading by 12.
Well, I'll tell you this, after going back and spending some serious time playing NBA Hangtime, I really wonder what in the world Acclaim was thinking when they even bothered to put out NBA Jam Extreme. I mean, Hangtime was the obvious sequel to NBA Jam, and in a perfect world would have been called NBA Jam 3. In fact, NBA Hangtime very well might be the ultimate version of NBA Jam.